Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Title IX podcast on the Cyclone Fanatic Podcast Network. I'm Steph Copley here with my co-host, Alisa Woods. Hey, Alisa.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I missed you.
I missed you, too. I'm sorry I couldn't be there.
I feel like there's a song we should sing right now, but I don't know what it is.
To welcome me back?
Yeah.
I was sick.
Na, 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 na.
Oh,
Na,
my.
na, na,
Is that
na.
vitamin C?
Yeah.
That's what a terrible song. I was just talking to a friend about this. It's a terrible song, but that's our childhood.
I know.
Or not childhood, but teenage
I think
years.
that was my high school.
It was everybody's high school song.
Our song.
Yeah. Really bad. Why? But why did that pop into your head?
I don't know.
Okay.
Is there together? As we go on,
we remember
all the things we did together.
Didn't
I
know
don't know
this
if
was
that's
gonna turn into a...
words. I don't know.
Well, I'm here.
We're here.
That much I do
Yeah.
know. We are in the Wild Rose Casino and Resort Studio. And of course, our entire network is brought to you by Cody Road. The beautiful bottles right over there. Mm-hmm. Are there any, do you have anything in your cup that's fun tonight, Alisa, from Cody Road?
No, it is Liquid IV, but...
Hey, I have Liquid IV in
Oh,
mine
yeah?
too. Mm-hmm.
I had the eggnog last night. I'm trying to finish it up because I feel like the season is over.
It is, yep.
But
you don't want it to go to waste.
yeah.
It's the best one.
I feel like it'll keep.
Yeah, but it's just the season.
Yeah.
Right. It's like drinking a peppermint mocha in March. You just can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would like to buy a new one come October.
Right. I feel ya. The podcast is sponsored by our friends at the Ivy College of Business at Iowa State, and I have been thinking about them sloshing around campus today. My shoes got a little dirty.
Their first day back last week was
Blizzard.
virtual.
Because of a blizzard.
Yeah. Crazy.
Just gross weather.
Yeah.
It's too cold, and then it's warm and sloshy,
Yeah.
and I just can't deal with it. I hate this season. I
know.
hate the winter. I don't know why I live here.
Why do we live somewhere where the wind hurts our face? I thought that. You know what? I was trying to bring Rosa home I go and pick her up, and I always walk to pick her up. I don't know why.
From school, are we talking?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sitting in the pickup line the anxiety is too much
Oh,
for
the
me.
pickup line is...
Yeah. So I
We
park.
should do an entire episode on the school pickup
gosh.
line.
Oh my gosh. And we're downtown. Imagine by Fresco.
Yeah.
Walnut and 9th, I think. That's where her school is.
Yeah.
It's bananas. So I park a couple blocks away and I walk to go get her, even when it's frigid cold. And so that very cold day and the wind was whipping and it came around this little corner and was hitting me in the face. And I had her kind of behind me and I was like, get behind me. And when we got to the car, she was like, it would have been much colder if I wasn't behind you. And I was like, yeah. She's like, why did you do that? Why did you have the wind on you and not on me?
That's what moms do, kid.
Right. I was like, do you not realize all of the things that I sacrifice for you
Every single day.
all the time?
This is like a tiny piece, kid.
But it her mood totally changed.
That's actually really sweet.
I know. And I was like, okay, for 45 minutes, maybe you'll be nice to me.
And?
After that 45 minutes was up, double middle finger. No, I'm just joking.
Will you start blocking the wind for me? That's
Yes,
true friendship
I
right there.
I could.
I get chapped on my cheeks from running outside, so I just haven't been. I'm on the treadmill. It's just, I didn't mean to start this out complaining, but here we are.
I love it. How many treadmill days have you had?
Oh, too many.
This January?
All of them,
Because
basically.
I know how many days I've worked out this January.
And it's all of them? Close?
18.
I knew it was close.
I didn't do it the first day.
Well, that doesn't count. It's the first day of the year.
Literally, I think I missed yesterday, but I have already worked out today. I've been on it.
You closed your you did your 7-day streak?
And I'm going to tell you why I am so fixed on working out, because I'd like to play softball another 5 or 8 years.
Yes.
So,
before you retire.
Yeah. So I'm training for softball.
Hey, whatever it takes.
Oh,
I train
right?
for races. You train for softball.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work.
Mm-hmm.
I saw a commercial with Andy Cohen for Walmart that says this is the time when you break your New Year's resolutions.
Yes.
So don't do it. Andy
No.
Cohen says don't.
I think it takes 21 days to create a habit.
Mm-hmm.
And
You're close.
I'm real close.
Real close. I'll ask you in a couple of weeks on the next episode.
Sounds good.
All right, let's get into Iowa State stuff. It was a weird week for
So
Iowa
weird.
State basketball. The men had this horrible showing against BYU. Just kind of felt like they didn't quite show up, and the game got out of hand really quickly, and then turn around, go down to TCU without Taman, and win the damn game.
So the game against BYU, I saw when Taman got hurt, he just sticks his hand in because he was just being
lazy. Defense. Yes.
Yeah. And he sticks his arm in where it shouldn't be, and then his shoulders hurt. Yes. And I was like, this is one of those situations where we read a book about Thomas the Tank Engine, and it just kept spiraling. He did one bad thing, and then he was trying to fix that bad thing and did another bad thing. And
Thomas is really applicable to all aspects of life.
Thomas.
I really did, though. I have the reaction. I wanted to look at my kids and be like, that's why you don't play lazy defense. Yes. They don't even play basketball. I mean, but in my head, I wanted to just scream at it.
Yeah.
It was just a stupid, like, knee-jerk reaction. And and here we are.
Hopefully he's rested and okay.
Yeah, it sounds like it's just going to be one of those lingering, and it was hurt last year. So it's just, I know. But
son of a gun.
They rallied without him.
Yeah.
A really fun game against TCU. Well, and you and I watched part of it together, which we'll get into a second. But then the women take down number 4 Baylor, kind of shock everybody.
Yeah.
Then they have a rough showing against Texas Tech, kind of like the men at BYU. And then they get a forfeit.
Crazy.
We have to talk about this.
Okay.
Just for everyone listening, Alisa and I have not talked about this forfeit situation.
No.
Give me your thoughts.
My thoughts, I will tell you that my thoughts are informed by a friend of mine who is close to the team.
Who could that be?
However, her thoughts are not necessarily informed by truth.
Yes. She's probably got a good feeling about it. Yes.
So 2 of TCU's best players, their 2 best players are injured.
Yes, legitimately.
Yeah. And then it comes out that another one is having ankle surgery, which means most likely that player was playing on an injured ankle because nothing happened.
Right.
She didn't go down.
Right.
It was just,
as far as we know.
By the way, she's going to have surgery. So it sounds like they had the 2 out and they said, let's shut this season down and have you ready for next season. Get the surgery over with. That's what it seems like.
It also, from what I've read, not associated with your friend of the program.
Yes.
Sounds I've read similar things.
And so also, they're holding tryouts for walk-ons. Open tryouts for walk-ons. But the rules with the NCAA, I keep wanting to say NAACP. I'm so sorry.
We can talk about that. No, a lot of people are going to fall off.
My family is very involved in the NAACP. So every time NCAA. So the rules for having to play are kind of convoluted and relaxed, basically. So it feels like they maybe took advantage of that. They have to have, I think, 6 scholarship players.
Yes.
So they're not adding scholarship players to this team.
They are working the rules.
And so holding open tryouts feels a little bit like lip service.
Yes.
Like, what are you going to do with these non-scholarship players? Are you going to play?
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like in terms of what's going to happen, they're going to field a team.
Right.
Who knows what that team's going to look like.
So bizarre.
It is bizarre.
And I can't think of another time this has happened.
Outside of COVID, no.
Yeah.
I mean, COVID was obviously the outlier, but outside of that, no. I mean, I've been watching basketball my entire life.
At any level.
Yes, right. It's just very strange. And I mean, it goes as a win in the column, so that's great. But it also upsets the rhythm of everything.
Yeah.
And that's the really unfortunate part for Iowa State. Is it's a loss to Texas Tech. Now you have this win. You don't get to play.
Yeah.
And I think we're away from Hilton for quite a while now.
Yeah.
And that was a home game. And outside of the basketball piece of it, you have a loss of revenue for the university, the businesses and Ames. So it's just kind of one of those weird trickle-down things that's just really unfortunate.
And so for us, my daughter Rosa, at 7 years old, was supposed to do the cheerleading camp.
Oh my gosh, I ran into so many people who had this problem too.
So the cheerleading camp was supposed to be that weekend. has been scheduled for a long time. And it's that event is one of their major fundraisers as well for the cheerleaders. So
I
we
totally
get an
forgot
email.
about
Yeah.
that.
So we get an email from Kendra afterwards saying she's, in charge of the cheerleading spirit squad. And so she sends out her email and she says, unfortunately we won't be able to have the cheer camp. This is the situation. If you want your money back, let us know. You can have your money back if you want to donate it to the team. So we donated ours to the team. It wasn't a huge amount.
Yeah.
I hope that a lot of other people did as well. But it's losing not only that $50, whatever. I would assume that the tickets that they sell for that they get a cut of, because just of the way that I know, like group sales, I would assume that they use that as well as a fundraiser. The tickets probably were initially like $12 and they sold them for $15, so they got $3 of every of that. That's what group sales does everywhere. So that's not like shady or weird or anything like that. So losing that ticket revenue as well. They were gonna sell T-shirts.
Yep.
Losing that revenue as well. And I talked to Kendra a little bit, and she said that people were really upset about it. I hope she doesn't mind that I'm saying this, but like there were some really upset parents. But it's like, all of the halftime,
it's planned.
Yeah, they're all planned. And
Yeah.
so they can't just tell another halftime that they've probably already paid
for. That's right.
Never mind, we don't need you because we're going to have this cheerleading thing.
Yeah.
So
Just stinks.
It stinks. It was a really tough one to miss. Rose is bummed. Slightly less bummed because she got to see the women's basketball team.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Okay, so after the game gets canceled due to the forfeit, Brent Bloom and Crystal Bloom decide, let's put the women's basketball team to good use, make an opportunity out of this, and they scheduled a game watch at Sweet Caroline's in Ames with the women's basketball. So we're watching the men's game with the women's basketball team there. And I wanted to talk to you about this because you and I were both there. We both have little kids. And there were tons of little kids around.
Mm-hmm.
And I walked out of there like just on cloud 9, realizing not that I'd forgotten, but extra appreciative of how lucky we are to have the culture of our women's basketball program with young women who appreciate fans, young and old. And just, you can tell their heart is in Ames and with the Ames and Iowa State communities, and just love these little kids who adore them.
Yeah. So we talked about the team last year and the year before, that, they love the kids. They love the kids. So when we walked in, we were making a beeline for the bathroom. I have a 3-year-old. We were making a beeline for the bathroom, and we walk in and we walk past the team.
Mm-hmm.
And Emily Ryan is there, and she kind of looks lovingly at Rosa. And then she just like, I can see the love just ooze out of her eyeballs for Malcolm, and she just gives him a little touch on the head.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And out of context, a random woman touching the head of this child, but like she knew why we were there.
Yes.
She knew we were there to appreciate
Yes.
them.
Yes.
She knew we probably knew who she was.
That's right.
And so she knew that was okay. He also had a really cute little like Spider-Man hat on.
He did have a cute
Yeah.
Spider-Man hat on.
And so just that like moment where like we know Ashley Jones loved the kids.
Yeah.
And there was a moment during one of her games where she walked past Rosa and people, Ashley, and she was like, oh, hold on.
Yes.
Must talk to child.
Right.
It was like adults don't matter. Must talk to child.
Maggie Espen Miller McGraw was like that too.
Yeah.
Like I remember her just walking over to Nora and picking her up. And I
Yeah.
was like, you just, well, okay, all right.
Yeah.
Like you're right. But this, we hadn't, obviously these freshmen, we don't know them all that well.
Mm-hmm.
And at one point in the game, they're playing Juicy Wiggle. I look over and Audie is like leading a just group of little kids in the dance.
I love it.
And then Nye's playing board games with the Bloom boys.
Yeah.
And like just loving on them. And and the team was getting ready to leave at one point closer to the end of the game. And my girls were like, we haven't seen Emily yet. We have to go see Emily. And they just know her on a first name basis. Like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
How lucky are we?
There was one point where we were kind of sitting at a table with like some of our other friends and their kids and stuff. And there was one point where Rosa was like, well, I need to get Nye's autograph. Like she had already talked to her. She's like, I need to get her autograph. And I was like, go stand next to her and wait for your turn, And so she walks and Malcolm's like, well, I'm going to. And then I think your girls were
Yeah.
like,
Well,
we're going to go too. Like everybody's kids just were like, okay, let's all go over there.
It was one of those days where I was like, we're just so incredibly lucky as Iowa State fans. So, and who knows what's going to happen. The women have had a crazy good start to conference play. But even Emily, I was talking to Emily. First of all, she said she feels great, which made me really happy.
Yeah.
She said she's incredibly impressed with a freshman like we are. But she said, we might hit a wall at some point and have to figure it all out figure it all over again. And she's right. But it was just this, okay, like we have this team. Let's enjoy it. Let's appreciate who they are and cheer them on with all our might. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it was a really special day. So they're back in action on Wednesday. The men are back in action on Wednesday. Women are at Kansas. The men are at home against Kansas State. And the tip-off times are it's 6:30 and 8. So they're going to overlap a little bit.
It's nice, however, that they're not at the exact same time.
Oh, my God.
That's all I ask.
Same here. I appreciate that sometimes you can't quite do it, but
especially on a weeknight.
The same time is just ridiculous. Yeah. So in addition to our basketball teams, we have some Cyclones in the NFL. We are going to get a Cyclone in the Super Bowl. Yeah. I mean, it's either going to be David or Brock. And I what?
David
or Charlie.
Charlie, yeah.
I mean, I can't believe it.
Yeah.
And these are guys and Charlie, not as much Charlie, but Brock and David, these are premier players.
Yeah.
Getting their names called constantly.
Yeah.
And it's going to happen.
And Charlie's had some big catches recently.
And he was getting some props for some pass blocking he did. So, that's like nerdy stuff that not everyone notices.
But the pass blocking is one of those things that kind of made Alan Lazard beloved.
You're right.
By Aaron Rodgers. So I think that that's
maybe not fan appreciated right away.
Yeah. But definitely like player appreciated.
Yes, absolutely. So I just, it's one of those times in the moments of being a Cyclone fan where you just take a breath and you're like, okay, let's enjoy what we've got rolling right now. So that's where I am.
And that was actually the Iowa State players in the Super Bowl. That was my winners of the week.
Yeah. Well, I think that has to be the winners of the week.
Yeah.
And they always represent, and it's kind of like with Tyrese. Those guys represent Iowa State very well, are not shy about their Iowa State ties, are proud of it. And I love them all.
I know.
Yeah. Tyrese is back.
Yep.
He's going to be fine. That scared the crap out of me, by the way, his injury.
Yeah. Because of the way that like Monte struggled so much with his.
And he goes off the floor with a towel over his head. Guys are carrying him.
Yeah.
I thought, but have you ever pulled a hamstring? Like it feels like you're going to die.
Yeah.
So I don't blame him for that.
I did have a sore hammy the other day, and it felt like I had like a flat tire,
Do you have more Cyclone stuff?
Oh, let me look. I don't think so.
Okay.
I have
a bunch of
other
shout outs.
people thing. Yeah, shout outs. Okay. That's what they are.
So let's give
That's
our
what we call them.
friend Hope Wood a shout out really quick, and then we'll get into our sports shout outs. HopeWoodJD.com. You can get your will done in just a few hours with her Will in a Day program. Use the code FANATIC for $50 off her Will in the Day program. Thanks, Hope. We love you. Okay, shout outs, Alisa.
I forgot how to use
your phone
for a second. There it is.
Are you back?
Nope.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Coach VanDerveer, do you have this on your shout outs?
I have so much to say about this.
Okay.
Yes.
I do too. So we can just go back and forth. It'll be fun. Over the weekend, she became the winningest coach in college basketball history over Coach K. She has 1,203 wins. Her win-loss record, I had to check it like 3 times to make sure it was right. Okay, I'm going to read this.
Okay.
She's 1,203 and 267 overall. She's only lost 267 games in her career as a coach.
Yeah.
And 216 of those were over her 38 seasons at Stanford. Okay, do you want me to keep going or do you want to go?
Okay, so she's been coaching since 1985.
Since she was 24.
Yeah. I was born in 1985.
Yeah, she's been at the helm ever since.
Surprise, surprise. That's how old I am.
She's a 17-time Pac-12 Coach of the Year, 5-time National Coach of the Year. She has 3 national titles, and she has a gold medal from the 1986 Olympics.
Should be more.
It should be more. That was the only thing I was like, why don't you have more?
Yeah. Should be
Could
more.
you work on that, Tara?
Did you see the jacket they gave her?
No.
So Nike gave her like one of those Letterman jacket type things.
Yeah.
And it had tallies on it for
all
every
the-
single one of her wins. Look it up.
Okay.
if you
Wow.
can.
That is
It
awesome.
was so cool.
That's
I
very
mean, it's
cool.
like there's no occasion that you can wear that, but it's cool to just.
If I
have
were,
it, you
if
know?
I'm her, I'm wearing it all over the place.
Right.
So she said, my favorite part of this entire story is she had to text her 96-year-old mom to cancel their standing bridge game because the post-game festivities went too long.
Oh,
She
no.
could wear her jacket to the bridge game, Aiden. I just thought that was the
True.
cutest thing. Like,
That is
sorry,
cute.
mom, I'm going to be a little
Yeah.
late today. Got some stuff going on.
So I saw a quote from her that said, "My timing was horrible for playing, but it was very good for coaching. To experience this is more than I could have ever dreamed of." And so I was thinking about, so my grandma played 3-on-3, 6-on-6.
Yeah, sure. Yes.
You understand.
I knew what you meant.
Yeah. So my grandma played. And so I was like, my grandma's older than her, and so I was asking my grandma, I was like, when did you play? She said she graduated in 1955. And so it would have been 15 years later that Tara graduated from high school.
Mm-hmm.
So she would have been 3 when my grandma was playing, when my
Okay.
grandma graduated.
Yeah.
So a little bit younger. My grandma was playing 3-on-3. Excuse me.
6-on-6.
6-on-6. Keep saying 3-on-3.
It kind of it's 3-on-3 plus
yeah,
3-on-3
yeah.
equals 6-on-6.
Yeah, but it was something that I know so much about, like my grandma playing.
Yeah.
And it's something that I think Iowa specifically
Yes.
is very proud of.
You're right.
Is their history of like women's basketball and everything. And then I was thinking about, so my mother-in-law mentioned the other day that cheerleading was the only thing available to her, and she was in Missouri, and she was also a Black woman. So the opportunities for athletics were none, only cheerleading. That was the only thing available to her. And I was just thinking about like the difference between like my grandma 1955 like to now, and how things have changed and evolved within like women's sports, Black women, their opportunities. And it's just, it like gives me goosebumps.
Well,
thinking
think about
it.
how much has just changed in Coach VanDerveer's coaching career alone.
Yeah.
I mean, and then you pull it exactly like you said, you pull it out even a little further, and we're talking entirely different world.
Yeah. And I mean, so 1955 to, oh gosh, 1980, 55.
What
65,
kind of math are
70,
you doing here? Okay.
70
All right.
when she graduated then?
Who? Coach
Coach
VanDerveer?
VanDerveer? Does
Yeah.
that make sense?
She started coaching when she was 24, and that was in 1985, you said?
Yeah.
So,
So, okay.
yeah, late 70s.
So that little chunk of time, 50s, 60s, 70s, that little chunk of time where it feels like it was sort of a little bit stagnant.
Yeah.
There were,
yes.
yeah, there were some states that were doing the 6-on-6 thing. I think that Indiana is where she
There's
was
probably,
from.
I think, maybe some golf and
Yeah.
tennis.
Yeah. And then if we group in like Black women in the semi-south Missouri, southern Missouri, just how much the sport has evolved since that little chunk of time where it was like just being introduced.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about how the WNBA is an infant,
baby.
possibly a toddler at this point, but like women's
Terrible twos.
Yeah. Women's sports as a whole
You're right.
are so very young, so incredibly young. And it just, I cannot even wrap my brain around. And I'm like Emily said, there will be pockets of time
Where we hit a wall.
We hit a wall where the men in charge don't let us go any further, where, they write contracts that maybe we don't agree with.
Yeah. I mean, this is a perfect example. So we have talked about the NCAA's branding rights for the women's basketball tournament,
Yes.
how they're lumped in and included with a lot of non-revenue sports like softball,
Wrestling,
which again,
volleyball,
sports
yeah.
that are exploding, but still non-revenue
Right.
at the time. and how the women's tournament alone is worth so much more, and they could pull it apart, give it its own contract, and it make it more equitable.
Right.
So this was the year that was supposed to happen, and we did get a better contract, but they did not separate it.
Okay.
So I don't have the numbers in front of me. It's good. It's progress, right?
Yeah.
But I was pissed because I just thought, I'm kind of sick of progress. Like, I just want it to be done the right way.
And I want to ask you, I've just been dying to ask you about this. This is another thing that we have not talked about.
Yeah.
So as men's basketball had propped up the rest,
Yes.
does now women's basketball prop up the rest?
Yes. I mean, in part, because they
Yes.
both will now.
Yeah.
And it is better in terms of there's a revenue sharing where depending on how things go, they're going to get kickbacks. And so it's not as if it's not like they're getting anything, but it just didn't feel like we went far enough. And Coach VanDerveer, what you just said about how so much has changed, that's a really good tie-in to all of this, because it's a good reminder that we can be grateful for the progress we've seen, but also continually feel like, but there's more that was left on the table.
So, okay, maybe I think that I was thinking about this the wrong way. It would have been what we were hoping for.
Sure.
Was to break men's off, not necessarily to break women's off.
Or to break women's off. And it could have been both.
Okay.
Or you break the women's off and you give it its own rights. And at some point, both the men's and women's are going to contribute to you can't avoid that.
Yeah.
That's just the way that NCAA is.
Yeah.
And it should be, because I don't want those other sports to go away.
Yeah.
It's just, we were significantly undervaluing the women's tournament when you bundled it in with everything else.
Right.
And we did that again. Not as bad, and it's better, but it's not where it should be.
Yeah.
And it's just a great tie-in, because Coach VanDerveer has seen the game go from a couple hundred people in a gym to thousands of people in a gym to now millions of dollars in revenue and these NIL deals that are skyrocketing for women's sports. And but it's not good enough still.
And we've also seen, in the lifespan of this podcast, we've seen the women's tournament not be able to use March Madness in their advertising,
which is insane.
Which is so insane, so insane. Anyway,
but she did say, and it was similar to the quote that you mentioned, how she wasn't so lucky, but to play in an era where it is equitable, but the little girl inside her is getting to watch it play out through the current women playing. And like, I have moments where I feel like I'm shaking my fist at the sky, but then I have also moments like Saturday where I feel like that too, like, okay, if it wasn't me, I hope it's my kids. And I think even with the NCAA tournament, that's kind of the attitude we need to have, where no, this isn't good enough, but like, let's be thankful and keep fighting.
And I think that sometimes some people get this in their mind that, well, if I didn't have it, no one else should have it.
I hate that attitude.
Right.
It makes me want to lose my mind.
Let's get rid of that.
Especially amongst women.
Flag.
That is red flag.
Yeah.
It is so toxic.
Let's leave that in 2023.
Yeah, goodbye. Speaking of progress, the PWHL, the Professional Women's Hockey League. Have you paid attention to this at all?
A little bit.
Listen, I don't know the first thing about hockey, like not the first thing. I know they wear skates. But that's pretty much it. I couldn't tell you anything else.
Okay.
But it's been hard to avoid this. So they launched in January of this year. So it's brand new in 2024 to great TV numbers. The numbers combined in Canada, where obviously hockey is big sport, in the United States, 2.9 million viewers tuned into the first match. Is it a hockey match or a hockey game, Aiden? Is it a match?
I think it's a game.
Hockey game?
But honestly, I don't know.
Anyway, the first hockey thing in the PWHL had crazy numbers. Okay, and here's the cool part. So this is kind of similar to the National Women's Soccer League, where they've had these leagues established and they've folded and they've tried to recreate them and they folded them again. This one is obviously the newest iteration, but 2 weeks into the season, they're getting more than 5,000 fans per game, which I know doesn't seem like a lot, but for a sport that I feel like is not mainstream anyway, at least here in the US, I mean, those are consistent numbers of something that's brand new. And they had records in those first couple of games of 13,000. Those are NWSL numbers right out of the gate. So who knows what'll happen. It'll be interesting to see if it can survive. But for right now, it's something new and it's working.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so you mentioned the NW.
That's a hard one.
I don't know today.
The
It's
NAACP.
Yeah, NAACP. So they tweeted this the other day, and then I had to run and see what this was about. So Manchester City women submitted a planning application to Man City Council for the development of a purpose-built training facility at their training center, City Football Academy. So it was, and Holly Rowe posted about this too.
Friend of the pod.
Yes, friend of the pod. That's why I was like, okay, everyone's talking about this, so I need to see what's going on. And she said, this is so important. We have spent billions helping facilitate venues for men. Tax dollars too. Love that we can now start doing it for women.
Yeah, so this is similar to what the Kansas City Current have, where it's that, just for the women. It's not a multi-use. It's just for the current training facility.
Yes.
This is the women's team version of it over there. So it'll be just theirs.
Yes.
And I think we're going to see more and more of this happening. Don't you?
Oh, for sure.
I just feel like it's the first domino fell and now it's going to be a trend.
Because they're just all pink is what they are inside. It's just pink.
That's right.
It's guys, it's exactly like the men's facilities, except for probably fewer urinals.
Probably a few, But here's the thing, and I've been thinking about this a lot too. We've seen a ton of ACL tears in women's professional soccer, like tons. It's an epidemic right now. So
it's insane.
These
my ACL hurts just thinking about it.
These purpose-built facility, or these purpose-built facilities for women. Do you think maybe that we shouldn't be treating the female players just like we're treating the men's players? Like, I don't know our bodies.
You know what?
What?
I think you're onto something.
So maybe, just maybe, this will be better for their bodies as well.
Just I agree. Equal is not always equitable.
That's right. Equal. We're not looking for equal. We're looking for equitable.
Right.
It always makes me think of that illustration of the kid looking over the fence.
I literally just thought of that. Yeah. And it's like a short kid, and they have a little step that's the same size as the tall kid's step. And so the tall kid can see over
the fence. Mm-hmm.
But obviously the shorter kid needs a little bit of a bigger step. Guys, it's equity. So simple.
It really is.
Okay.
Speaking of ACL tears in the NWSL, Sam Mewis, so she wasn't in the, she might have been actually, but famous for her U.S. Women's National Team performances.
Yeah.
So she had torn her ACL and had tried to come back. It didn't work. And she has finally announced her retirement officially.
She has a podcast, right?
Yes.
Okay.
It's called like Snacks or something like that. Yeah. So she's 31 years old. And it got me thinking, I think this is like the mass exodus of all of that core of players. I mean, we saw it with Rapinoe and I just think like this next go round is going to be fresh faces and maybe some fun. It's also sad, but just, something new. Mallory Swanson, also in the NWSL, signed a historic deal with the Chicago Red Stars. It's a 5-year contract, which is the longest in the history of the league. And they didn't disclose the details, but it's believed to be the highest, most lucrative contract in history, if not very close to the top. But we're seeing this pattern right now. So Maria Sanchez just signed what was at the time the largest contract in league history in December. And then right before that, Trinity Rodman signed a 4-year deal, which at the time was the largest contract. And so we're seeing these deals get more and more lucrative with every month and every year. And I just think that speaks to the health of the league. So looking forward to this next season very, very much.
Definitely.
Yeah. What else you got for me?
So Coco Gauff.
Yes, your girl.
My girl. Seems like it was just yesterday. I was saying, guys, we need to watch her. She's number 4 in the world right now. She is yet to drop a set at this year's Australian Open. And she is now in the quarterfinal.
I have a question about the Australian Open. Do you feel like it's been a little dramatic?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay. Maybe it's just like the way, because I don't know enough.
The way it's been covered.
Yeah. Well, okay. Yes. Because I think a lot of times when there's upsets with like a young unknown player, I feel like try to make that person a villain in a way.
Yeah. Do you feel like it's been dramatic just for the women?
I don't pay attention to men's tennis, so
Yeah.
I can't really compare.
Yeah. I mean, when
I suppose that's the way for anything.
I think in general, like when they love to find a villain in women's tennis, I guess that they love to find a villain, but there's a lot more apologists for the villains per se in men's tennis.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Coco is not a villain.
No.
We love Coco.
We do love Coco. Can we talk about the court storming heard around the world?
Jesus.
Can we just tell everybody to chill out? Like, what are we doing with this non-story? Okay. But it's worth noting because they're the number 2 team in the country. They go down against Ohio State.
Not anymore.
No, the rankings came out today, Monday.
At the time.
At the time, yes. Yeah. So they're number 5. Iowa State falls out of the top 25 for the women. Mm-hmm. I have to believe if they keep winning in the Big 12, they're going to be right back in there.
I just think that Iowa fans right now are thrilled. Thrilled because they love nothing more than to take the moral high ground after a loss. And I have said this so many times.
You're right about this.
The band was mean to us. They were saying mean things to Connor McCaffrey. Whenever they lose,
there's always a story.
There's always the.
But here's the thing: like she's like, I'm fine. Like let's move on.
Yeah.
But they keep pounding it. Like, shut up. Everybody on both sides, shut up.
Well, I was also watching, and I understand that one of them has a right to the court and the other doesn't. I get
it's
that.
like a traffic.
Please don't get in my DMs. Please do not come into my DMs to defend this because I will just ignore your DMs.
One of them has the yield.
Well, yes, I get that. But then people were like, she didn't even stop to see if she was okay. And I was like, well, one of them was okay. And the other one, like, Caitlin didn't stop to see if the other girl was okay.
That's what I mean.
And
all of it's
she's
stupid.
Got 6 inches on her.
It's like everybody shut
I know.
up.
She was fine.
Yes, she said
was
she was
surprised.
fine.
Also, like, when I'm upset and my child throws something and it hits me in the face, I'm immediately go down.
Does that happen often?
A lot. Happens a lot. When I'm stressed out, when I'm driving on ice and my child pops a balloon in the back seat, I immediately start to cry. Like, I think that emotions were high.
Yes.
She got
She got blindsided. Like,
she got the wind knocked out of her because the wind was probably halfway out of her.
Yeah.
She started to run because
Yes.
she didn't want to be on that court
Yes.
anymore. She
Yep.
wanted to be away from that game. And so she started, no one else was running. She was
she's
running.
getting the hell off the floor.
Get her, put her in the little Taylor Swift cart thing, wheel her off, whatever you need to do. Give her Jim Harbaugh's security guards, whatever we need to do.
This is just one of those things where I'm like, okay, I can't. I love sports.
Yeah.
I love good storylines. This isn't not one of them.
This is like when Texas lost and
the horns down.
And then they were like, oh, that's like giving the middle finger. No, it's not.
No, it's not.
Like, you would have had no problem with the horns down if it was in the second quarter and then you ended up winning.
Yeah.
It's because you lost.
Yes,
That
right.
now you have to take the moral high ground. And this is one of my red flags. Teams who lose, and I find myself doing this. I'm not going to say.
So you're admitting that you sometimes behave your red flag behavior.
Yes, but
Okay.
I stop myself before I do
Sure.
it on
Publicly?
like social media.
Okay. Yeah.
Good God, guys, you can stop before you can. Just,
You don't have to
right.
tweet.
you can just say something in your mind and not tweet it. I know that's a hot take, guys, but it's just like Texas. Like, he was pissed off. He yells. He was wrong to yell. You know what I mean? Let it go.
Yes. The difference, he pisses me off because
Yes.
he's coaching. He's talking to another coach's players,
Yes.
like coaching them. No.
Yeah.
That is like a no.
Yeah.
And it's not like they were throwing punches. Just, he's a child.
No, he is the worst.
Texas and Iowa fans, you're right, are the worst at taking this at holding other people to a standard that they don't carry out themselves.
I'm actually just going to do this for the rest of the podcast.
Okay, good luck. So is that your red flag?
That was one of them.
Okay.
The other one is the Packers were mean to the Cowboy cheerleaders.
What?
I tried to say it with a straight face. The Packers or the Cowboys cheerleaders, maybe another situation where they lost and
Moral
now they
high
have
ground?
to take the moral high ground. However, I will tend to take a woman's side if they said that they were being harassed
Sure, that's fair.
by
Yes.
a man.
Okay.
I will tend, even if it's, a team that I don't love, I will tend to take the woman's side. That's just who I am as a human being.
Right. And you've also witnessed
yes.
history for
Yeah.
all of
And so
humanity.
Not cool, Packers.
But what happened?
They
You
said
gonna
that they
tell
were
us?
like harassing them and that they were like yelling at them when they would score and stuff like that. And that they were just like yelling obscenities at them and
Okay,
just being
that's
really,
really
mean.
weird.
I know. There's no video of it. So
Why would they make this up?
I
Why would
know. I know.
I don't like that.
I know. So I know the Packers is a very the youngest team.
So maybe they were just being immature idiots.
I mean, I don't feel like we get to say they're just being.
No, that's not an excuse.
I say older players, sit them down.
Fair. Right. Touche.
Jason Kelsey. Jason?
Yeah, but he doesn't play
Kelsey?
for the Packers.
I know.
Oh, okay.
But because the Packers are so young, other teams are going to have to come in.
Oh, hell no.
There has to be old heads from other
The
teams.
old heads don't care.
No, they have to come in and tell them to not be jackasses.
That's very sweet of you, but good luck with that. It's the NFL. Speaking of Jason Kelsey, he's wonderful.
Green flag.
Green flag for Jason
Yeah.
Kelsey. But
We
my
love Jason
red
Kelsey.
flag, which will lead into
Okay.
is if you're okay with Jason Kelsey taking his shirt off
Hmm.
and looking like a buffoon in the best way possible, I
Yeah.
loved it. But not okay with Taylor Swift cheering, that is a red flag.
Yeah, it is a red flag.
But speaking of Jason Kelsey, is he the most lovable football player right now?
So lovable. And you know what is also a green flag about him is that he is at the height. I would say, people made this joke about Travis Kelsey. I would say that all of this attention has increased his profile.
Yes.
Because of their podcast.
There's no
because it's
question.
his brother.
Right.
Like it has definitely raised his celebrity profile.
Yes.
I don't think it has made him a better player in some way. I don't think that he is only going to be in the Hall of Fame because of this. I think he's a
No, but
tremendous.
It's raised his profile.
but
There's no
he's-
question.
Because he was in prior kind of just like a dorky, quiet guy. Not obviously not quiet, but
Dressed up like a maniac for a Super Bowl parade. Like,
right.
that was
Just-
it. Yeah.
And he was just kind of like a guy's guy.
Yes.
Just a dude.
Beloved in Philadelphia,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah. So I think that it's kind of raised his profile, and it is a green flag for him to possibly now be saying, I think I'm going to hang it up.
Like,
Because
the truly walking out while you're
Right.
on top.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Because imagine the attention, the money he could make.
I mean, even this last year, he could have said, I'm done after this, which most people thought he was going to.
Yeah.
I'm done after the Super Bowl. And he played this extra year. But you can just kind of tell, like,
He's choosing to not ride the Taylor train.
yes,
And I love that.
I think it's great.
Yeah.
I hope that he has a second life in some, whether it's podcasting, broadcasting, but I hope he
It has
stays
to be broadcasting
in this world
Yes.
because he's too entertaining not to.
Yes. Their
Yeah.
podcast is brilliant
It's
too.
so good.
It's good.
It's-
It was good before Travis started dating Taylor
Yeah,
Swift.
it was.
It's always been good.
And it's funny and it's heartfelt and
Yeah.
it's thoughtful
Mhm.
and it's all the things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's a green flag for me. I don't have a beige flag, but I have another green flag.
Let me see. Oh, I just burped. Oh, my
Wouldn't
beige
be a podcast without an Alisa burp.
My beige flag is the interrupting cow.
Excuse me.
Milk.
Do you want to
Milk.
explain? Seriously,
Milk.
explain. I'm going
Milk.
to throw. Chris is going to fire you for this. What the hell is wrong with you?
Don't you know the interrupting
I
cow?
know, but
I
why?
don't know. I just thought it'd be funny. The other option was like taking my shirt off and chugging some beers outside of our suite.
You can do that too. Green flag is not the interrupting cow, you weirdo.
Beige. That was beige.
I know, I don't have beige. So I'm giving you green.
You're green.
Men who cheer on their wives and partners in a way that's like puts their own celebrity aside. And I'm talking about Kyle Juszczyk. I always say it wrong. Juszczyk? Yeah.
Yeah. Jay-Z.
Yeah. For the 49ers, fullback for the 49ers, whose wife, Kristen has done these incredible jackets, and she's making them from jerseys, from t-shirts, from scraps of whatever. And he went on a social media rampage. In like every time he saw something, he was like, "That's my wife. That's my wife. That's my wife."
Because Taylor Swift wore one she had made.
Yeah, and it went
with
bonkers.
the Kelsey stuff. Yeah, and Deebo Samuel had worn one with Purdy on the back that had MVP stitched all over it. It was like a vest, and it was really cool. And I started following her after that. And then I saw then this happened because I do watch her page, and I like saw it unfold because she had made one for Britney.
Yes, Mahomes.
Yeah. And she was like, "Who's next?" And people are like, "Taylor." And she commented, "That's the dream." And then
sure enough,
literally like 3 days later, I was like, "Oh my gosh, her dream just came true."
Yeah.
And I'm not a Taylor. I'm even keel on Taylor Swift. Like even keel on Taylor Swift. But to see her dream come true like that was so cool.
And if you're talking about the celebrity, like obviously he is the celebrity.
Yeah.
He's the football star.
Simone Biles' husband could take a few notes.
Yes. Same thing. But like to go out of his way to be like, "That's my wife. She's awesome." I just thought that was really, really, really cool. JJ Watt used to do this with his wife all the time. So
they would be like JJ Watt and his wife, and he'd be like, she's also famous.
She's a professional soccer player, and we just need more of that. I think, but it was just very sweet and
Simone Biles also wore a jacket made.
Yes, because her husband plays for the Packers.
He does.
Yeah.
Hopefully he wasn't mean to the Cowboys cheerleaders.
He's had some questionable hits that make me wonder if maybe he was one of the mean ones.
Interessante.
I don't know. That's just pure speculation.
Yeah.
I would think she would. I would think she would marry a very wonderful
nice,
stand-up guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we love her.
And every time I see a commercial for the Olympics that she's on, I'm like, "Oh, it's coming. I can't wait."
I would like to think that his comments were taken out of context or that he misspoke in some way.
Yes. Can you explain what you're talking about for?
Yeah. So he went on a podcast, I believe, and basically was like,
"She's the lucky one."
Yeah. She's the lucky one because I'm like so good at my sport, kind of.
I would hope that they were said in jest and reading the words on a page didn't come off the page.
Right. I think maybe he just has some screws loose and maybe misspoke because she's the GOAT.
She's the GOAT.
And he's
she's the GOAT of goats.
He's a role player.
He is a role player.
But he's in the NFL and so
good
incredible.
For him.
Yeah.
But support your wife, bruh.
Right.
Anything else before I plug this We Will signing day event we have up?
So.
Okay.
Oh, goodness gracious. But I do know something about this We Will thing.
Okay. Yes, because you are bringing dessert.
I'm making macaron.
Okay. So we did this last year. It was kind of the first We Will event we ever did. And it was the signing day. So we have Coach Campbell, the staff, a bunch of players come, and it's at Toast and Ankeny. And that's the same venue as last year.
Yeah.
I am not kidding and exaggerating when I tell you it was one of the most incredible nights ever. Like it was just one of those nights where Cyclone fans come together and you're all there for the same purpose and, you know, the same goal. And you get to interact with the coaching staff who tends to kind of not be very public facing, and you realize and how lovely they are and how lovely their wives are. And so I'm so excited for this year. It's February 7th, which is right around the corner at Toast and Ankeny, like I said. So our friend of the pod, Brooke, her brother-in-law, Kevin, is doing the dinner, and he does all of the recruiting dinners for the football program. So it's just kind of fun to have that tie-in. And
He's
then
an
you
incredible chef.
are doing desserts.
Well, I don't know if it's desserts or if it's like something that people get to take away with them.
Okay, well, but
Or
they're
it's
sweets
both,
though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
so
a parting
that's
gift.
desserts still.
It's a swag. I don't know. It's pretty cool.
It's a favor. It's like a wedding favor.
Like
Favor
a
bag.
Yeah,
You know what I'm talking about.
but they're macarons and they're really good. And
They are
gonna
really
be
good.
Cardinal and gold.
You have ruined macarons for me from anywhere else in the entire world.
Thank you, except for France.
I've not been there, so, but you know.
My parents went to France and said they were as good, which I
Oh,
feel like
that's a compliment.
That's nice. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you can make it, find out tickets or get your tickets at the We Will Collective website. And yeah, you can find out there. Oh, the other thing I forgot to mention is they do a silent auction. And then they're also doing, what's it called when you have the actual like live bidding?
An auction.
Is that the
Live
actual?
auction. I think it's just a live auction.
Aiden was just waiting for you to say something stupid.
So the live auction piece, anyway, we're just going to skate right over that, is where I bid on the bourbon tour last year that we went on.
Yeah.
Legitimately one of the most amazing trips I've ever been
I
on.
love
And
that.
I've already prepared my entire family that I'm buying another trip this time. So if that alone is reason for you to go,
Yeah.
there'll be tons of Cyclone memorabilia. It's going to be a fun night.
First of all, I know that one of the either silent or live auction items, I believe that Jamie Steyer Johnson is making some shoes. Yeah. And I think that it's like
I'm going to be so bored.
you can have them customized to however you want them, and she'll do it. And then the other thing is, last year I had serious FOMO looking at pictures, and so don't have FOMO this year.
Don't have FOMO.
Go.
And you know, who knows what the NIL world is going to look like in a couple of years. So take advantage of this opportunity to do something, you know, and make the lives of student athletes better now. And
Yeah.
hey, who doesn't love their picture with Coach Campbell?
Right.
And me.
I was just gonna say, get to see Steph Copley, host of the Title IX podcast on the Cyclone Fanatic Network.
That's me.
She takes really cute pictures too.
Okay, that's all I have.
Okay,
Are you done?
I'm done.
Okay, go Cyclones.
Go State.